This is for Math 8, and we are going to be working on different type of angles and the terminology of the angles. So you need to get this paper from the door, and then you're going to be cutting it. So get scissors, and you need to cut along the dotted lines. So make sure you only cut the dotted lines, not all of it. So pause it. This is what it's going to look like by the time you're done. Cut it out. Cut along the dotted lines so it can fold like this. So pause that. Pause this right now and do that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different angles and the names. A lot of this geometry, you guys, is just a terminology. So learning what the terminology is, learning what they mean, and it'll be much, much simpler if you know what they mean. So the first ones that we're going to work with are called complementary angles. So complementary, C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T-A-R-Y. I have to do that slowly because I mess that up all the time. So complementary angles. And what complementary angles are, which is you can see these two angles, angle WXY is complementary to angles YXZ. So this is complementary here. And if you can see in the picture, this is the right angle, and many of you guys already know that. That's a symbol, but notice WXY and then YXZ. Now here's one thing I want to teach you. The middle letter is your vertex. So this angle WXY is one angle, and then YXZ is the other angle. And together, these add up to what? The two angles whose measure have a sum, because they add up, of, you're right, 90 degrees. Okay? So if these two angles are complementary, so if you know this angle is 30, then what is this angle, which you guys had a practice with the other day, or yesterday, with that worksheet. So together they're 90. Well, if one is 30, then yes, the other one's going to be 60. Okay, so complementary, that's going to be 90 degrees. They add up to 90 degrees. Okay, another one, supplementary. S-U-P-P-L-E-M-E-N-T-A-R-Y, supplementary angles, supplementary angles. And supplementary angles, if you notice, together they form a straight line. And you might see it like this, to where they even have an angle measure like this, meaning together they add up to a straight line. And what's the degrees of a straight line? 180 degrees. So supplementary. So H-I-J, again, the middle letter is your vertex, where the two rays come together and form a point. That is the vertex forming an angle. So H-I-J and then J-I-K, as long as the middle letter is your vertex. Now, two angles, two angles whose sum have a sum of 180 degrees. So if you know one of them, you can do the other one by saying 180 minus the one that you know, 135. So this angle will be 45 degrees. Okay, here's the way I can remember it between complementary and supplementary. A lot of times I would mess that up. So here's a little trick. I look at the P's. Well, complementary has one P, so if you think if the P is 90 degrees, and the two P's would be 180. So just a little tip to help you remember, you know, the words, the two different words. So supplementary 180 to the two P's is 180. Complementary, that one P is 90. Hope that helps. Okay, so now we have a third type that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about adjacent. So adjacent angles. So if you're adjacent to somebody, or something is adjacent to you, that means that you are next to it. Okay, so we're going to say angles ACB. So ACB. And angle ACD are adjacent to each other. They are next to each other. Now in this case, they're also supplementary. Okay, so not all adjacent angles are supplementary, but all, well, I can't even say that, all supplementary angles. So two angles that are side by side. They have a common vertex, which is the point that where they come together. So this is that C, common vertex is ACD, Common vertex ACB. So they have a common vertex and a ray or side. Nah, I shouldn't say really side. Yeah, a ray or side. So like this is the common one between these two angles. This AC is common between these two. They may or may not be congruent. And we'll go into more of that, the angle measurement we're talking about here. Okay, so the fourth one is vertical. And the vertical angles are angles that are actually, it kind of looks like a reflection of each other. So angle LMN, and angle OMP, they are vertical, and it's like a reflection. You could flip LMN over this way in the vertical axis, or excuse me, it'd be like a, what am I saying? A reflection. LMN, or LMO, and angle NMP, that's hard to say, NMP, are vertical. And here's another way I look at it. I like to see the V's. I don't know why, but there's like a V here and a V here. These are vertical. Now, two angles formed by intersecting lines, which means these two lines intersect, and the angles that they're made are called vertical angles. They're always congruent, meaning they have the same angle measure. Okay? So if you know, you can find a lot of angles by knowing these. These angles are vertical. So this angle here, if that's 65 degrees, what's y? 65 degrees, because vertical angles. If you know this is 115, then x is going to be 115. And then also together, these two are supplementary, so they should add up to 180. These are supplementary, 180, 180 here. But vertical angles, those are the easiest ones to find. You don't have to do any calculation. If you know one, you know the vertical angle that shares the same vertex and then from the intersecting line. So they share that same vertex. And a lot of times we think they're opposite of each other. So that's what some of the students have come to think about. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take this paper, you're going to put it in your notebook, glue this side down. You might even have to do this. It won't fit that way. So glue this down and label this angle relationships. Okay. So then take some time to practice that, study that, and I'll give you a next task when you are finished. Come up and show me that you're done. You will get credit for this today, making sure that you have taken your notes. This is due by the end, probably in the middle of the hour.